Well, everyone, it's time for us to talk about one of my favorite phones of all time, which is the iPhone XR, and to see basically how it holds up in the later part of 2022. Now, I've already talked about this phone a million times this year, so I'm not going to go into, extreme detail. You can watch my early 2022 review of that thing. I went into really big details about that. But this phone, from the middle part of this year to now for my mid-year review, there have been so many things that have changed yet again. Now, some big, notable things. First of all, iOS 16 came out, massive. The next iPhones came out, which is massive. And we also saw another price decrease for this iPhone in the used market, at least on average for the price tags. So there have been a lot of different moving pieces so far with this iPhone. I will hit on the body really quickly though. 6.1 inch IPS panel, decent body still for the most part. Kind of thick bezel, but it's not really as bad as you'd probably think. Single camera setup on the back, glass back, lightning port, SIM card tray, we kind of have to say that now. And overall, still, it kind of feels really good. Like, it almost feels like exactly like an iPhone 14. It has pretty much the same type of build, but obviously the iPhone 14 is a way better looking phone. Now with iOS 16, this was a pretty big update for this iPhone in particular, because this was kind of the cutoff point. I talked about this before in other videos, but basically with the iPhone XR, we got so many features within iOS 16. I would probably argue that like 80 to 90% of the features within iOS 16 came on this specific phone, which is really cool. Now on the other side with the iPhone 10, it didn't really get all the features. I would say like 50% of the features came on that phone. So at least with this thing, it did kind of, come into that specific standpoint that it got a lot of the features. So I'm really happy about that. My experience on iOS 16, it has gotten better throughout time. It's still not perfect, but it has getting better throughout my whole entire experience of using it. So I think that's a really cool thing. When 16.0 officially, like when the beta came out, that was a little bit of a different experience, but now it has been getting better and better. So I do think that's a really good thing about this phone too. It's still not, I would say, as stable as iOS 15.5 or 15.4 was, or 15.7, whenever the last version of 15 was, but it's definitely gotten better. So we do have to give it a lot of credit in that standpoint as well. Now, on top of that, with the iPhone XR, I did compare it against the iPhone 14s and basically all the other iPhones that have came out since then, and I'm a fan. I definitely do like how those phones have been holding up, and I definitely do think when it comes down to it, it's holding up very well against those newer iPhones. Now, is it perfect? No, it's slower. It definitely doesn't have as good of a display. The cameras aren't as good. Battery life's not as good. Actually, in fact, the battery life is probably the one thing that's taken the biggest toll of this iPhone, probably since iOS 16 came out, but also I would say iOS 15, had a really bad experience on my battery life on that phone too. So I will definitely tell you, as time will tell, the iPhone XR, every version of software it gets, it should be getting better and better. So I definitely do think that's a big thing to keep in mind. But I will tell you, to kind of wrap up this video, the iPhone XR, how it sits right now, it's definitely not a bad iPhone, and it definitely has been getting better for a while. But I do think as of right now, it might make a little bit more sense if you want to go buy something like an iPhone 11. If you want to go that route, that might make a little bit more sense for the most part too. But I definitely do like the iPhone XR. I think this is a great iPhone. I love this iPhone for sure. But we do have to remember that phones like the iPhone 11 are a little bit better. You just kind of have to keep that in mind. But if you have a XR, I would highly recommend keeping it too. So in terms of that covers it up for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.